We're here at the anniversary CCW show, and I'm here with Brian Cage. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I mean, you hear the crowd out there? I mean, it sounds like we're going to be doing excellent tonight. QT's been over here holding it down, holding on the fort with this title. But come on, they announced Brian Cage first on the card, and they're lining up. We can't wait to see the machine. Now, luckily, QT gets to wrestle me, so he's going to get that little bit of rub, a little bit of shine, but it's all me. It's all me. So I'm doing great. Long answer, but I'm doing great.
Well, it's a great answer. And we have fresh news that you signed, quote, a lengthy extension with AEW.
Okay, what's funny about that is I signed that contract last year. So I don't know why. I don't know. I did a couple different podcasts, different things. So I'm not sure which outlet got it from where or what. But they had talked about me going to WWE, and I said, I was actually going to go, or at least was negotiating to go back and forth to AEW and WWE. And then, long story short, I chose AEW. And one of those reasons, too, was also they gave me a very long-term contract, blah, 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 blah. So, I didn't sign a new deal. But I guess it was never, announced. So, everyone's like, oh, my God, congratulations. They're like, oh, I mean, it was a year ago, but cool, thanks. I guess better late than never.
Now it's just public information. Yeah. Now everyone just knows.
Sure.
And a lot of wrestlers that I've been interviewing have been saying that if they can, they will stay with AEW for life. Like they're a lifer. Would you define yourself this way, or are you still deciding?
I mean, anything could happen in the world of wrestling, as you say. But, I mean, that was part of it, too. So, I've already been there for a little over 3 years. I signed a really long-term deal. So once that deal elapses, if I'm still, which I would imagine I'd still want to be in wrestling, involved in wrestling, and still wrestle. So with my long tenure with AEW, I feel like it would be easier to just stay put and just, if something happens where an opportunity arises to go somewhere else, maybe. But at that point, it'd probably be just if it's not broke, why fix it?
Sure. And you have a background in bodybuilding.
Yep.
You're obviously very, very physically fit.
Yep.
And back in the day, that used to be the requirement pretty much. But now we're in the age of body diversity in wrestling. So do you still view it as an advantage that you have?
I don't know. I'd say, what was the verbiage you say? You said body diversity? I don't know if I'd call that. I just say, I think there's just a big lack of bodies now. I mean, obviously, everyone has a body, but as far as being a physically fit. So, I do feel it still helps me stand out because when I go through airports, let's put it this point, without naming names, when I'm walking out of the hotel to the gym, and there's top stars or top people that people just walk right past because they don't watch wrestling, so they have no idea who they are, but then they see me and they go, oh, dude, what do you do? Do you do something? Who are you? That just shows the general demographic. I still stand out more as hey, who's that guy? What's that guy do? Whereas somebody else, I'll just let you pick a name in your imagination, walks by, they're like, oh, that's just the guy walking down the street, if you don't know wrestling, that is. But, when I still walk out the curtain, whether it's in an indie show, whether it's at, TV or whatever, immediately till it stands out. And to most wrestling fans who don't know me, too, and when I was coming up, they go, oh, great, a freaking, an Lex Luger or Batista without tattoos or whatever, thinking I can't wrestle. But then they see me and I can actually wrestle. And then they see me and they see how agile I am, too, and the flips and stuff I can do. Then their mind gets blown away. They're like, holy shit. That's amazing because I'm not a one-trick pony. And I'm not a big fan of that either of back in the days, everyone was massive, way bigger than me. Massive, 300-pound behemoths. But obviously their ability and their athleticism was very meh. So same thing. If I see a body guy who can't really go in the ring or move that well, whatever, then I'm not, I'm so impressed by his physique, but I'm not impressed with him as far as wrestling because I never even wanted to become the machine. That just kind of happened. I wanted to be physically fit and look like an athlete and look like I belonged in there, but I never had this intention of being, the quote-unquote big guy. And more than anything, I love wrestling. So, you said I did do bodybuilding. I bodybuilded, though. I already wrestled for years, and I still wrestled the entire time, every weekend, the whole time I did any bodybuilding. So it was just a side passion hobby. It wasn't like I was a bodybuilder and wrestler. I've always been a pro wrestler that just happened to be bodybuilding.
And it's interesting that you mentioned this and say the word agile because that's exactly the word I have written down because something separates you from body guys. You have a certain level of agility that definitely sets you apart. So was it something that you had to be conscious of from the point that you were starting to wrestle, I have to be different, I have to be more agile, or did it just come naturally while you were getting your wrestling on?
Well, I think why my athleticism and ability and agility, every word that starts with an A, whatever, why it all increased or at least improved and stayed the same is because, as I said, I was already a wrestler. I was wrestling the whole time while I was building, while I was getting more size, while I was getting more muscular. So it wasn't like I just didn't wrestle and I put on a bunch of weight and then I'm going to try to do it. So I feel like that's why it was easier because the evolution all slowly happened together all at the same time. But yeah, now this day and age, I mean, obviously everything evolves. That's like when some people kind of like go, oh, well, back in my day, not to be offensive to vets, but like back in my day, we just worked a headlock for 20 minutes. Well, that would never work this day. Everything evolves. If you look at X Games, I'm a big skateboarder too, for people who don't know. But if you look at X Games 20 years ago, they weren't doing anything. Now the tricks they're doing now, when I see it on Instagram, I'm like, unfreaking believable. It's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater come to life. Same thing, football, basketball, every sport evolves. So why wouldn't wrestling? That's why we have all these crazier moves, all this crazy athleticism, all these nutty dives. Now, obviously, there's still a story and psychology to take part to make those matter and mean more. But with that, too, going back to the body guy thing, there's a lot of guys now who have an amazing physique that can move well, that can do stuff. Wardlow being AWB, one of them. Alexander Hammerstone. Oh my gosh, his name slips on mine in overseas. But there's so many people that have great physiques that still move well and perform well. And so it's not like it's just me anymore. I feel like I did kind of pave that way. But I feel like whether you're big guy, small guy, heavy guy, girl, doesn't matter. I feel like everyone has to have evolved in some way to improve their overall performance of the ring to stand out in this day and age of wrestling.
Absolutely, I could not agree more with you. People these days like to complain like, oh, matches never end with a super kick at this point. Yeah. But every sport evolves and every sport gets more complex.
Exactly, 100%. Look at UFC. Look at when it very first started to now. I mean, yeah, exactly. Something before they'd be like, all right, here, let me do a cartwheel. Now they're doing a quadruple cartwheel onto a pole to another pole off. So everything evolves. So yes, you can still tell a story and you can still end a match with one super kick if it worked out. But to me, it doesn't have to be. Everything else evolves. And that's actually one of my biggest pet peeves in wrestling too when I watch a match, is if somebody has a terrible finish. And what I mean terrible finish, if a match has a bad finish, it has a bad finish. But I mean as far as a finisher, if your finishing move is just blah, I'm like, and I'm such a move guy. I know there's way more wrestling than moves. I know that's why I love Chris Canyon and the Who Better the Canyon, Innovative Offense, the multi-move Paragon. These are all these things. But man, when somebody especially if they're really good, they're super charismatic, they're athletic, they're fit, they're great, they're having a great match, and then they just do the weakest finish of all time. I'm like, oh, bro, you just lost me. You just lost me there. Come on. You got to add it. Put some spice in. That's always been the one thing. You want to have a cool, I don't care what you do almost the rest of the match. Have a cool finish at least. Anyways, I'm rambling.
No, since we're talking about the finishers, I've heard this theory that a type of finisher that the top guy can't have is a finisher that takes a while to set up. Would you agree with that?
It doesn't. So my favorite move I do is the Weapon X, which is I have on my back and do a flatline out of them. Now, not everybody can take that because they're not flexible enough to. It's not a fun position to be in. Also, yes, with certain people, it can take incredibly too long to set up. That's also why I don't do it too often anymore. But yeah, if your finisher's too hard to set up, and an unwritten rule is you want a finisher, which you do, that you can do to everyone. From the Big Show to Rey Mysterio, as they'd always say. And I do get that, but obviously, maybe not every finisher works out that way. But that's also if you have a healthy repertoire anyways. I have my A finisher, my just beneath A finisher, and then I have top tier signatures that can finish a match but isn't my finisher. You know what I mean? So there's if there's a really huge guy that maybe I don't feel like I can drill claw without actually paralyzing for the rest of his life, well then I'll do something else. So there's multiple ways to tell a great story, have a great match, and have a great finish without having to hit your signature finisher if it doesn't allow for whatever reason.
It's amazing we found such a rabbit hole of talking about finishers, because I'm also very passionate about that. And super important to finish matches with signature moves that aren't finishers to protect finishers.
Well, and on that too, I also, when you beat someone without your finisher too, especially if it's a good move. If I beat someone with an F5, or my deadlift suplex, a discus lariat, whatever, what's great about that then is now when somebody kicks out of that, it makes it for that much more of a believable falsy, because. And there's some complaints, and I do get it. Whenever anybody gets super frustrated from not getting a win in a match on a move they've never beat anybody with, it's always did you ever beat anybody with that back suplex? So there's and I get it, and it's also part of the story. Now if you do a crazy avalanche, something that you've never done before, it's the first time ever the guy kicks out, but it's unbelievable because it should be. That's a different story. But if it's a basic move, if you hit a drop kick in every match and the guy kicks out, you're look shocked and bewildered that he kicked out, and it shouldn't be that surprising. But anyways.
Yeah, and we talked about the new generation of wrestlers versus the old generation of wrestlers. And in AEW, you got to work with Taz, and you held the FTW title. So how was that for you? Did you learn a lot from Taz?
Did I learn a lot from Taz? I mean, I learned that Taz was really good on the mic, which I had forgotten about because I remember, he's a great commentator. I was like, that was the first thing I even said to him. I was like, man, I forgot how great you were on the mic. But Taz was like super hands-on. He critiqued some stuff here and there. He gave me a cool suplex I started doing. But he was pretty free to like let me just be me. And he would, like I said, he would critique some stuff, but it wasn't like he was like our true mentor, so to speak. So, but no, we had a good time with Taz. I'm actually even in a better relation, I would say, with Taz now than I was when we were together.
And you also just recently held the 6-man tag titles for ROH. Do you have a preference for singles wrestling? Is that something that you were wanting to come back to?
Absolutely. I mean, okay, so first of all, we're the longest reigning 6-man champions. Let's just put that out there. Even if I don't like doing the wrestling, like whether it be 6-man tag team, multi-man, singles, intergender, whatever it is, hardcore. If I even don't like the form of wrestling, I still like to do it to show that I can do it. So, like to be captain versatility, no matter what it is. And we had some banger 6-mans out there too, but I feel like the drudgery, for lack of a better term, was just like there's a lot of times we didn't have like meaningful matches with the titles because we were on ROH with them a lot of times, and a lot of times they'd just be throwing together people. Or if it was just an extras, so it'd be like unsigned talent versus us, then it's like, all right, we're just going to eat these guys alive. So it wasn't as like competitive. But when we got the competitive matches we wanted, yeah, we loved it. So, that's what it is. I just thrive on going out there and getting that wrestling high, that wrestling fix of having a great match. And that's what even draws me when I do any sort of independent match. Before anyone tries to book me, they go, hey, are you available in the state? What's your rate? My first comeback question is always, who am I working? Because if it's not a match I get excited about, that I'm emotionally invested in, then I'm going to get on the airplane and go, yeah, this is worth leaving my home. This is worth being gone an extra day. This is worth putting my career, this is worth it all. I don't want to get on a plane going, oh, damn it, why did I take this booking? And then, like, heaven forbid you get hurt at that booking, too, and I can't work. You know what I mean? So, no, I want to have an awesome banger match where you go home and you're back to your hotel and you can't go to sleep because you're thinking about this spot, this motion, the crowd reacting. Like, that's that high, that's that drum, that's that fix I think we all get hooked on. And I feel like, even though this is kind of going sideways from the question, but I feel like a lot of these other wrestlers that have gotten released from WWE and like maybe they had different like drug overdoses or whatever else, I sometimes feel like that's them chasing that incredible high that we love that no drug or alcohol will ever be to replace. And if you're out there and you can't get it back, it's almost like they look for that in other ways, and then unfortunately, terrible things happen. So. And
with the RH titles, you've been appearing on RH more, and the talent in AEW flows between the rosters. So, do you think it's benefited you to appear more on RH, or would you like to get more TV time in AEW?
No, I actually have only done I haven't done RH for a minute. We were on this upcoming next week's episode of ROH, but I was on AEW for last 6 months or whatever. When did we lose that? Oh, we even lost the titles on AEW. So yeah, no, I haven't done any ROH stuff until this just recent taping that will come forward. I think the last ROH thing we did was the July pay-per-view. Yeah, we defended against the Japan. So it's been a minute. So actually, it's been almost 8 months or whatever.
But you're on AEW.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a minute. So yeah, but now we've been doing single stuff, and I did my stuff with Hook and whatnot, and I don't know what's going forward. Hey, we got Swerve possibly winning the title this weekend. We'll see if he becomes the first ever black champion in all elite wrestling. But yeah, no, I prefer singles over everything. I mean, I'm a big fan of just going out there, like I said, and getting my shit in. I love multi-man matches as well, but no, I'm glad to, I don't want to say be on my own, but I've gone out and just kind of be able to get more time dedicated to just me instead of everyone.
Well, now that you get to do more single stuff, what's the next goal? What's a title or a match with someone, a dream match that you really want to do?
Obviously, we all want some gold, right? We have plenty of gold at AEW to go around. There's actually several people that I've got to work with in AEW that I've wanted to work with. When I originally signed back in 2020, there's still a handful of guys that I wanted to work with that I got to work with. Whether that be the dream match with Kenny Omega, which almost happened, Pac. Now we have Edge in there. I would still love to do some stuff with Orange Cassidy. All the big guys, especially all the meat stuff. Brody's great. I've got to work Brody tons. Keith Lee, once he's healthy, I got to work him once, but I'd love to do some more stuff with him. Claudio was actually a guy I was really open to a program with. So on and so forth. Swerve is with me. I've always had banger matches with Swerve out in the independents. I'd love to work Joe again. Paige has always been amazing. It can go on and on. Bryan Danielson. Now we have Will Ospreay. Takeshita. There's so many good talents.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pac. You and Pac is for sure a dream match for me personally.
Oh, for sure. When Pac finally, because Pac wasn't there for so long because of the pandemic, and his first day back when we properly said hi to each other, He's like, oh man, I can't wait. The first thing we both said to each other, like, oh, I can't wait to work. So, I mean, yeah, hopefully that he's got Okada. Now Okada's there too. He's got Okada coming up, and yeah, hopefully something opens up where I can get an awesome program with somebody, which I would love to.
And extremely excited to see what's next. And tonight you have a title match with QT Marshall, so hopefully some gold around your waist tonight. So thank you so much, and excited to see where the journey takes you.
Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. And look, just for all those said that Brian Cage can't talk, we're over here. We cut this promo. We cut this interview so long, the battery died, all right? I'm out here draining batteries. I'm just talking, I'm walking, I'm having a hell of a time. Let's go out there and have a show tonight. And QT Marshall, I said, I always want to have a good match. And people, I don't think, recognize how good QT is. And I was one of them. When I first found out about QT and came to AEW and everybody just knows him as Cody's friend, I was like, yeah, whatever. But then the more we got to see him actually go when he does and actually perform, and actually how good of an instructor he is, I was blown away. So I'm looking forward to good things tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem.